Say when.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Microphone checker 1 2 1 2. This is a test. Nothing here to see here. Yep.
There we go.
We're
Sounds
through.
like we're good.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 318 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me at the Orange Sidewinder Bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
Would you like to see my large purple snake?
Off to a good start. And we have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Hello. We also have our Deputy Trade Attaché, Commander Souveri.
What up?
Mm-hmm. And finally, joining us is the Tech Gibbon, Chris Mark IV, doing our tech for tonight. So, hello to everybody. Right, so, well, as per usual, we will, we'll just say that, is anybody flying around Lave Station today?
I am literally pulling into Lave at the moment.
Right, so if you wish, you can join Ben as he hangs out in-game, in open at Lave Station, near the planet Lave.
Do we have a destroyed Ben bounty this week?
I am in an orange snake, actually. I just have a purple tip.
Good.
Just what we needed. If you can't get to us in-game, you can also join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go to twitch.tv/laveradio. Also, we're available on YouTube and Facebook running at the same time. So if you put any comments in there, it actually still comes through to us and we can still read your helpful, uplifting criticism. So we'll quickly go around the crew, see what they've been up to for the last week. So we'll start with Commander Souverain this week.
Checks calendar. What have I been doing? Bloody nothing, I don't think. I have been doing normal things. Here we go, calendar. What am I doing? We had, I had my, we're still locked down here, so I haven't done anything interesting. I had a couple of my D&D session with some friends on Friday, and then the one that I'm doing with some people I work on one of the magazines with on Thursday, which was great fun. But I'm finding that 40% of the week taken up with D&D is possibly a little bit toppy. And other than that, it's been quite a busy week for me work-wise. I've had quite a lot of editing to do. So looking forward to getting some more free time towards the end of this week.
Excellent. Right, Commander Shan, how have you been this week?
I haven't been doing too badly, thank you, Colin. Let me see. This week I was collecting my shiny new frameshift drive as a reward from the CG, and then engineering it and finding out it gave my crate Phantom a nice range boost. So much so, I think my crate Phantom is now my favourite exploration ship. It's only 5 light years less jumpy than my max jumpy Anaconda, and much nicer to fly in Super Cruise. So that was quite a nice bonus, really. So yeah, it was nice to have a nice imbalanced frameshift drive for people. I'm sure we'll come on it later. In real life, what was I up to? Probably not much, really. I was trying to placate and trying to sort Christmas out for this year. I know it's difficult, but we've kind of decided that we want a grumpy Christmas this year.
Everybody's going to have a grumpy Christmas, whether they like it or not.
No. This is purposely grumpy Christmas, because what we don't want to do, because we usually have about 15 or 16 people around our house for Christmas, and it gets very expensive and very tiring and very messy and noisy and chaotic, when all we really want to do is just chill out and just relax and have some family time. So we're actually quite liking the fact that it will be socially distanced and quiet this year, because it gives us a chance to not just save some money, but also to actually unwind towards the end of the year. So yeah, we've been doing the Christmas things.
Excellent. That's really good news. Ben, what have you been up to?
So, like Suv, I've also been doing some RPG stuff with, but this has been with Wishblend and Atris and a couple of other folks. We're lucky in that we're going maybe about once a month, maybe depending on Wishblend's availability. But I got myself in a very well. So in our session of this, I won a giant multi-cannon thing that Atris basically really wanted.
Is this the Elite Dangerous RPG you're playing?
This is EDRPG, yes.
Yeah, the ED RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still go by the pseudonym of Daddy, by the way?
No. And I don't do that in EDRPG.
Oh, okay.
So I won that very, very big gun, and then I traded my massive weapon for Atris's tiny weapon. And I'm much happier, and Atris is much happier, so everybody's happy.
Okay.
What else? So, yeah?
No, didn't you have trouble with a ball of speed?
I did have trouble with a ball of speed. So on Saturday, it was speedball this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and on Saturday I decided to take my hand at trying to fly very quickly towards a planet and not die. And I managed to fly very quickly towards a planet.
Okay, part one of the plan. Tick.
Yeah. I managed to get within about 5 kilometers, I think it was, of where we were meant to be, including being 5 kilometers away from a certain Mr. A. Turner,
okay,
who had been saying, he was basically been challenging me to try and hit him. So he didn't feel particularly scared.
Yeah.
And then I failed at the not dying part repeatedly.
Ah, right. So you failed to miss the ground.
I failed to miss the ground.
Right.
Did you wave the petunias on the way past?
I saw a whale, but no petunias. But they might have been a bit too small.
Oh, well, gravity always gets me down. No.
So on Sunday I had a that was my Saturday, and my Sunday again was spent in Elite Dangerous. But this time myself and my flatmate both got new copies of Elite from Epic. And we joined the tens of thousands of other people at Dromi and other places around the new bubble.
Yep.
And we did that for most of the day.
Oh, that's nice.
And I think we even though he was my flatmate and we were in the same house, we were on Twitch and we were on Discord. And had a
that is very bobble hat. Seriously, if you're in the next room,
it's easier talking on a mic. We've both got microphones and things like that. It's easier talking on that than shouting down the stairs.
Yeah, to be fair, that does make sense.
Was he a virgin, Commander?
Yes, this was his very first time in Elite Dangerous. All he's ever done before is see me playing it. He's a professional Overwatch player. So he plays in esports. He plays esports in Overwatch, but he's seen me in Elite Dangerous, and I was actually quite pleased that for I've been watching him doing things in Overwatch, and he's been just running around killing stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell you did there. It was nice to get my own back a little bit, where he's like, yeah, I don't even know how the hell you just did that. So I'm sort of busy. Like we would do, like when you go and do the data missions where you have to scan something on the planet from your ship.
Yes.
So I sort of go down, bounce off the ground with my shields on, bounce back up, scan the thing, and get the hell out of there. And he's like, "How the fuck did you do that?"
Yes. But then again, running around in Overwatch, you've got to know the game inside out. I've got Overwatch. I've played it twice. I'm scared. I'm scared to go on.
I've got Overwatch, and I've played it with my son, and I've played some casual maps. and I even got man of the match once. But yeah,
It was by yourself.
You're solo man.
No, I was probably playing with a bunch of 10-year-olds. Which
how
explains why they were
it's
killing
how
me
you
all
like
the
to
time.
spend your Friday nights, isn't it?
Oh no,
I'm
we're
gonna
not
get
going
again,
there.
aren't
No,
Uh,
yeah.
Were you a helpful tutor, or did
Yes,
you?
I was a helpful tutor, and whilst I
Oh.
was helping him, I was also helping other people in system chat as well.
I
So I was
think
like,
I could be
Nice.
a helpful tutor.
yeah, you'd be always, you want to go and make sure you've got E for everything drives, just like a certain Commander Wotherspoon.
No, there's two approaches to teaching players in Elite, isn't there? There's you hold their hand and you show them step by step, or you show them the
YouTube video.
Elite Classic way, which is toss them in the cold vacuum of space and
See what they
if
do.
they
And watch them slowly asphyxiate.
That sounds very much like the difference between the open palm and the closed fist approach to helping people out.
No, I mean, to be honest,
Well,
watching
it
the
is
Twitch chat, not the Twitch chat, the system chat, most people were being very nice and helpful to people who were asking questions.
Well, you must admit that the newbie area does help, because otherwise it'd be a ganker's paradise, wouldn't it?
How do you get an anaconda in there?
Well, no, to anybody who's not who's new to Elite Dangerous, back in the old days, there wasn't this newbie area, and basically every new commander would start off in one of two places, and they would leave the station, and if they were dumb enough to be in open mode, there'd be about 6 or 7 ships all ready just to blow them up, just to teach them a lesson. And then 90% of the time, the commander would go, well, don't think I like this Elite Dangerous thing, and then uninstall the game.
This has been quite a shit experience.
Yes. That's one of the reasons they put the newbie area in, is to stop the jump gate syndrome. So, yeah.
not very elite, is it? Having this nice little paddling pool.
Yeah, well, every MMO really needs a little paddling pool area, just for people to learn how to take their inflatable wings off.
Actually, one thing that I never realised was just outside of the paddling pool, there's a shitload of white dwarfs ready to wait and kill you.
Did not know that.
No, I went off and because one thing I'd never realised that you could do, because I got the mission to come, dear Ben, you're welcome to go outside the area. And I'm not going outside the area. I'm teaching my flatmate stuff, so we're staying in here. And it's like everywhere I landed, it was like, have 100,000 credits if you go out the area. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Have 100,000 credits. So I wound up leaving there with about 8 or 9 invitations to leave the area and 100,000 credits. So
Ben's reminding me of that bloke off the Breakfast Club. I like the starter area because I keep getting older, but the starting area commanders, they just stay the same age.
And once again, Suv is trying to get me swatted.
Yeah, this is a creepy level 5, thank you.
So I was like, I was scooting around all the places that are 1 or 2 jumps away from the noob area, trying to, just get all these things done. And everywhere I was trying to get to was like, well, you can 1 jump, and then you've got even though you don't have it ticked in your selected stars, there's a white dwarf.
Oh.
It's a white dwarf. It's not even a neutral, it's a white dwarf.
That is evidence that the galaxy was created, not just evolved. The fact is, they deliberately put in white dwarfs around the starter area to make sure
to kill all the starters.
Yeah. Although, to being serious for a minute, I always found when I help players and stuff, when not just
back when you actually helped players.
I do help players. I'm really helpful. Anyway,
a mythical dream state in which you actually help someone.
No, this is Shan's version of the fuel rat where you assist new players by showing them the rebuy screen, as Kaizen's saying.
No. The Shan version of the fuel rat. If you wait for the run out of fuel, you say, "Oh, if only you don't run out of fuel rats." Anyway, There's a fine balance, though, isn't there, between helping a player out, like teaching them to fish, so to speak, and giving them a lifetime load of fish.
No.
Yes, there
Yeah,
is.
we'll be coming on to something similar to that later in the show. But meanwhile, I'm going to interrupt here and say everyone's forgotten about me. So I think I should say what I've been up to this week.
So, Colin, how are you doing? You still got lurgy?
Tell us about your week.
Well, I've been catching up on power play because I'm still recovering from COVID. My power play commander has done nothing for 2 weeks, which basically meant that I had nothing in the bank. So I've had to effectively start from scratch. And thoroughly enjoyed that. Got interdicted by a couple of players and outran them and ran away and basically stuck my virtual tongue out of them as running, which is always good. Let's see, I got my other commander back from the call sack. That was fun. And I've now decided that this triple elite commander, which ironically I hit triple elite the day before I went down with COVID. I had this horrible feeling that would have been on my my tombstone. Well, at least he got triple elite.
His life was given meaning towards the end.
Really nice sentiment. Colin died getting triple elite. That's a really nice sentiment. we could have that at your memorial at LaveCon.
Triple elite would have killed lesser men.
Yeah.
And of course, I've done the same as I think everybody else, and got the Epic Store, got a brand new email address, and got a free alt, which I'm trying to work out what to do with, to be honest.
So with the free alts on the Epic Store, you can't just you have to create a new Epic account and then with a new email address. You
can't.
No,
you
can't
use an email.
So context the question. My Epic account is assigned to the same email as my Frontier account. Does that mean I need to create a new Epic account with a different email address, or change the email address that's associated with my Epic account?
No, you don't.
Sweet.
Are we going to come on to this in a bit, Colin?
Yes, we will do.
Okay.
Apart from that, I've been playing a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 for some reason. Thoroughly enjoying it. And let's see what else. Yeah, real life. So why do you think I play so many computer games?
How many finals there are in Final Fantasy, isn't there? Because it's Final Fantasy 15. Why didn't it look like nearly Final Fantasy 15?
Oh, that's an old joke. That's almost as old as how long it took to write Final Fantasy 15.
They still keep going, don't they? Anyway.
Well, there's 16 coming out soon, but yes. Anyway, so we will draw a line under the wonderful achievements of the crew this week, and we'll go into.
Before you do that, I wanted to say one more thing.
Oh, okay then, Ben.
Yeah. I had been poking you, but I didn't want to go too far ahead. I've also I felt the mood to go and visit something old, shall we say? And I've been revisiting revisiting Baldur's Gate and saying hello to Boo.
Ah, yes.
I've been enjoying your screenshots from Baldur's Gate.
The Baldur's Gate one. What I can't get over is the map screen. I can expand up to the full glorious 4K, and it looks absolutely shit, but I can do it. The menu screens are like a little postage stamp on my monitor.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't see anything. I'm needing a magnifying glass to try and read the text.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh geez, I can't make it. I just can't make that window any larger and scale it up. It's oh wow. But apart from not being able to read any of the text, it's still it's Baldur's Gate. It's D&D. It's fun.
Oh no, it's second edition D&D. If you go and try and as Suverino, what version are you playing, Suv? Is it 5?
5th, yeah.
Yeah, 5th. It's completely different. we're just old fossils compared to what 5 is now.
Well,
I think.
how does it differ? Like, is it mechanically, or is it in the lore and stuff as well?
Oh no, the lore is exactly the same, except if they're trying to wipe Dragonlance off the face of the canon. But
Dragonlance was great. I love the Weeze and Hickman books.
well, yeah, funny you should mention that. Just as a quick aside, the reason that I say that is that there were supposed to be 3 new Dragonlance books, as by Weeze and Hickman, coming out soon. But if you know your D&D, you will find out that they've cancelled the entire trilogy, even though they're a book and a half in. And there's a whole load of there's no, there is a whole load of controversy and a massive lawsuit which is now in progress against Wizards of the Coast on behalf of the authors. And to tell you the truth, as far as Dragonlance is concerned, people are thinking that this is the final nail in the coffin. You will never get any more Dragonlance now, which is an absolute shame because it was one of my favorite D&D
Mine too,
if you like.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Well, before we move any further on, I also want to give Commander CB Bits a shout out, and he's new to Elite Dangerous, new to Lave Radio. So hello and welcome, Commander 07 and stuff like that. Yeah, we do actually eventually get around to talking about Elite Dangerous, I promise.
Welcome, CB Bit.
Yes, we do. Don't get put off by some of the old people talk. We do get round to Elite Dangerous eventually.
If you stay listening for the full hour, then Ben will send you pictures of his purple python.
If you stay listening for the full hour, we'll take away your purple python.
Right. Well, let's move on. For development news, well, starting this week, every Wednesday at 1500 hours GMT, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the CM team are going to start an Ask Me Anything thread on the forums. Forum users can post questions which will be answered by the CM team, the community management team, to the best of their knowledge. And yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I can't wait. It's going to be so.
You
good.
can't wait.
So many questions.
I'm waiting for the Shan monologues, I think.
It's good. This is my New Year's resolution.
This is my chance to find out Arthur's inside leg measurement.
Okay.
Use that.
Obviously, today there was a Twitch stream. Now, the first thing that happened with this, which is why Ben is so proud about having a purple python, is that they did a Twitch drop. I've never heard of Twitch drops before, but they did. If you stayed with the Twitch stream for, I think, 15 minutes, you got certain paint jobs. What was it? You got your the purple engines and purple
engines. No, purple engines was for the whole hour, I think.
Yeah.
No, that was the actual skins.
No, the skins were 15 minutes. The SRVs and fighters were 30 minutes. The engines and the guns were an hour.
Oh, right. Fair enough then. I had it running in the background, so I know I've got all 3, but I wasn't able to actually catch most of the stream because I was.
Did you claim them? Have you claimed them already?
Not yet.
Then you're too late.
What?
You had to claim them by 8 o'clock.
Oh, bum. Never mind.
It's just the vibrant purple. They haven't created a new thing for it. It's just the vibrant one.
Oh, I've got all them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got them for all the chips that actually fly.
What amazes me is the sheer number of. Oh, we're probably going to go on to this later, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We'll talk about.
It'll be the next item. Don't worry. But yes, the number of people watching that Twitch stream—that's the most I've ever seen. It was over 10,000 at points, almost 11,000. And I'm there going, wow! It's amazing how much they come for free stuff.
Yeah, free digital things. Amazing.
So, was there anything interesting in that Twitch stream? because obviously I missed it because I have this thing called work, which I can't actually sign out and say
even a thing called work.
it's a horrible 4-letter word. I know.
I don't think there was anything interesting. I watched it. I had it on in the background because I thought that. But I saw somebody said that there were thousands and thousands of viewers, and I was like, oh wow, I'd better go and check out if there's a big announcement or something, because I normally don't watch those streams.
No, it's
and
just
I
free
watched
stuff.
the whole thing without, and I thought, I can't be bothered to do the Twitch drop thing because it's stupid. And then I watched the whole thing and found out that all the numbers were just for the Twitch drop. They weren't for anything else. There wasn't a big announcement. I felt so robbed.
Yeah, it did feel a bit. Yeah, as Alec Turner was just saying. Well, I can sum up the last stream in one sentence: Twitch drop, Twitch drop, Twitch drop, Twitch drop, and that was it.
We got to see Stephen being crap at Elite for a bit as well. Although I don't think he was actually noticeably crap this time, was he?
No, he wasn't. He was doing all right. I mean, he was in the newbie area, but then that's what they were doing. So
hiding.
They were flying around, running missions, and just playing the game basically.
Well, they were quite sensitively. They were replicating. Well, they were doing the new player experience, weren't they?
Yes.
And Stephen does do the new player experience very genuinely.
He's been doing the new player experience for 2 years now.
I'm sorry, Stephen. We should behave.
Yeah. Well, just because. Yeah.
Yeah.
just because they jumped in after Thargoids with no idea how to deal with them, I do think they get a little bit of stick. But
yeah, and docking is really hard, to be fair.
I've never seen him crash docking.
I know. I'm teasing. I'm making it a bit of a meme when it shouldn't be. I'm sorry, Stephen.
It's funny. The people in the Twitch chat is actually agreeing with you that the newbie area seemed to suit Stephen quite well.
Kai in chat says he went to the wrong area, then got a fine for accidentally jettisoning his cargo in a station. So wow, okay, yeah,
right. Do you think we should just save up and send him a couple of L plates and a little, or basically we get a 3D printed model of a Cobra and have it painted with little L plates on it?
Yeah, or a T-shirt with something like that. The Elite symbol with an L on it.
Yeah, I wondered whether or not I could send a spare model of mine down to Beetlejuice so that she could do a big learner Cobra for him, or a learner Sidewinder. It'll have to be a learner Sidewinder, won't it?
I think it probably would be. Yeah, I think upgrading from the Sidewinder requires earning money and achieving goals in Elite Dangerous. So I imagine it would be a Sidewinder.
Yeah. But in other news, Stephen, we do actually like you. We're only teasing. Anyway, of course, the big news that happened this week is on Thursday, Elite Dangerous came to the Epic Store. And not just the Epic Store for the first week until the 26th of November. So if you've got this before Thursday, you'll still be able to grab a free copy of Elite Dangerous on the Epic Store. And to say, I'd say this has been a fantastic success, because when I got hold of my my free Sidewinder and went around the newbie area, I have never seen so many Sidewinders since the alpha. It was chock-a-block full of people, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
There was a couple of there was an hour, maybe an hour and a half, where there was some issues that they needed to iron out. But after that, bang, it seemed to be really, really good.
The value proposition is remarkable. Like until very recently, Horizons was what, 20 quid, 30 quid. The base game was 20 quid undiscounted, and then all of a sudden it's gone from, it was discounted to £4. For first of all, they rolled Horizons into the base game, and then they discounted it to 4 quid on Humble, and then the whole lot was completely free. So the value proposition for Elite is just absolutely rocketed in about 1 month.
Yeah. I feel sorry for anybody who a couple of months ago went, well, I'll give this Elite Dangerous a try. I'll also plug in for Horizons as well. £40. Yeah.
It's worth it,
So
though.
yeah. So in other words, the Fuel Rats on Twitter said that according to our rescue stats, it seems that a couple of people are getting Elite on the Epic Game Store. Those numbers broke all Fuel Rat records. 522 successful rescues in one day.
Wow. That's amazing.
Now, for those of you who do not know who the Fuel Rats are, I think we've got an advert which will tell you what they are, what they do. But effectively, these are the basic, what you could consider the fuel angels of Elite Dangerous.
Roadside rescue, aren't they? They're the AA.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will basically, if you run out of fuel, you haven't been watching your fuel gauge, you contact their Discord and say, oh, I've run out of fuel and I'm here, and they will turn up genuinely and give you fuel for free and help.
Regardless of where you are. Regardless of where you are in the galaxy. They rescue
have
people from everywhere.
Yeah. So that is a newbie tip number 1, up with the 7-second rule. But and don't fly without rebuy. So Ben, how did you manage to get your Epic account working?
So, like Suv, I had my Epic account was. Yeah, I got my Epic account ages ago when I was playing Unreal Tournament, like the new version of Unreal Tournament on it. So even before it was actually an Epic store and things like that, I still had it. So I've had the Epic account for absolutely ages. And I'm using the same account for my Epic as I am for my Dangerous account. So I went off and did a bunch of things, basically trying to find it. I'm just getting my. So I bought the game up. Well, I got the game for free, obviously, and downloaded it so slowly.
Yes, it was quite slow.
Launched it, and I got the. Would you like to link your account? Would you like to link your Epic account to an existing Elite Dangerous account, or would you like to use? Sorry, would you like to link your account, or would you like to use an existing account?
Yes,
I think they're a bit confusing buttons.
That is really
yes, they are. Because you need to create.
Keep going.
You need to link. Yeah, you need to link the account. You don't use the existing account because otherwise,
you get a free game for your existing commander. Yay!
Exactly, and that's not what you wanted.
That's not what you wanted.
So you link account, not using.
You click link account, and on that one, I did aid.levice plus epic as my email address. Say, I'm deliberately using a non-existing email address. So aid.levice @epic+epic@gmail.com. I just used, how Gmail lets you add in plus things or to your email address.
So how do you do that? Before the @gmail.com, do you just put plus something else?
Let's say your email, your Gmail is sovereign@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You would do sovereign plus Elite Dangerous @gmail.com or sovereign plus epic @gmail.com.
Yeah.
And that's basically all emails going to sovereign plus epic still go into sovereign @gmail, but you get to see that came into that specific one. So it's a handy way to filter out things that so this is coming from Epic or it's coming from Dangerous or whatever.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Ben, have you just doxed yourself?
No, I haven't, because my email address isn't that.
Ah, right. Well, there you go. I think there were certain people noting down that address in the hope of causing
in
mischief.
the hope of going off and
in the hope of sharing their purple pythons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That is going to be a never-ending joke from now on.
It almost certainly is.
Yes.
So I then got an email from Frontier saying, click on this. I did that. Then we went into the whole Epic Elite Dangerous broken thing and you need to update.
Yeah.
And that would basically bug it up for a while.
It was buggered up for an hour and a half, and then it started working.
Yeah.
But that's still that hour and a half was still enough to cause headlines all across some of the websites.
Yep. Whilst it was buggered up, I thought, you know what, I'll try. Because I've officially done it and it's all registered, I'll try logging in as Aid plus Epic. And I got told by Frontier, please purchase Elite Dangerous so you can continue. I was like, bollocks. But then later on in the evening, I basically went on to the Epic Store. I hit the log me in button, and it's like, congratulations and welcome.
Yeah.
Did you have to? Did you have to install the game twice on your machine?
I think I've now got 3 installations of it on my machine.
I have. Yes, I've got the same.
Okay.
I've got my Frontier installation, which is my main. I have my Steam version, which is an alt that I've played a wee bit of, and I've now got my free Epic one, which is my free Epic one, basically.
So, can I just ask everybody who's got an alt through the Epic account, what did you think experience? Because personally, for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is the first time I've actually gone through it properly. Even my Steam alt, even my Steam alternative commander was earlier, before it was created before the new area came into being. So, what were your first impressions of it?
It's basically I did it by playing the same as I do in the main galaxy, and it's I was doing mission running. I love the initial welcome thing where you get started up and you're in a GIMP ship and you get your pilot's license. I love that, and I love how it's very scripted. Obviously, you take off and a Type 9 flies majestically overhead. You come out and you've got the sun shining onto the rings, and it looks absolutely crazily, amazingly beautiful. Every single time you take off.
Yes, it does look stunning.
Yes.
So,
and then I wish we could get those rings to fly through the main bloody game. I would. Oh my god! I wish we could get that. Yeah, and I'm sure Alec Turner and various other people would like that too.
What, like race gates and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I got told that there is a similar installation at one system. I'll look that up and see what I can find.
With the race gates?
Yeah, with the race gates. Apparently, this is just I haven't been able to confirm it yet, but I will look it up and find out.
Can we very quickly jump into other news?
Yeah, certainly.
So, I think it's out now. I think Star Wars Squadrons has those race gates.
Oh, of course, this is the first of 2 major updates, which
this was in before then. It's had these racing gates. It's kind of
right from the very beginning. Yes,
as a little hidden feature. So it's not multiplayer. I think you're just playing against yourself, but you can basically fly through one of several courses, and you've got to you're flying through race gates, and you've got to beat the timer. And I would love that in Elite Dangerous, especially if we could have it in open multiplayer. And
oh my god, it'd be so good.
Oh god, yes! Please, Arthur, you're our only hope.
Well, according to the forums, Commander Ashnak says that he's heard that the installation in SAN 2, that's SAN space TU, is pretty similar to the racing one. So I think that's going to be our homework for next week to find out whether or not this exists.
I think SAN 2 is that's the PvP hub, isn't it? I have a feeling that SAN 2 is the PvP emergent hub that they've chosen, where they host all their games. In which case, it might be slightly deliberate that it's got race gates in it.
Yeah, and of course, now that you've mentioned that, the fact that he's got a little evil devil next to it might imply.
Yeah.
So can
I'm
we
gonna
just
fly over there now, and if I die, I'll let you know.
Okay?
Right.
Strike that for the record. I can't believe I
Sounds
fell
good
for
to me,
that.
Ben. Free anaconda there as well.
No, we all know it's no, it's not at Hutton Orbital because it's 100 credits there. Again, I'd like to just put forward the case for a bar called the Free Anaconda right next to Hutton Orbital,
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
solve a whole load of stuff. Oh, I can't believe I fell for that. Oh. Anyway, in other news, well, yes, there's been a little bit of controversy, hasn't there? It does look like there's another space game seems to have generated a ship which looks remarkably similar to the very famous Asp Explorer. For those of you who are not aware of Star Citizen, they have now released a new ship. And I must admit, when you look at the front view, it's practically the same thing. Has anybody else seen this? Because even David Braben's commented on this one.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. They're even similar size.
I know.
The front profile is nearly identical, and interestingly,
Not just the front profile, the 3/4 profile is pretty damn similar too.
And the back of it has like little sparrow wing things, and the Asp Explorer actually has a ship kit which replicates those as well, so you can make them look very nearly identical.
Yeah, I think Commander Zlar has a good point. Chris Mark 4, could you put them on screen, please? The images are in the show notes at least.
Yeah.
Isn't that a case that imitation is the greatest form of flattery?
Well, if it is imitation, I'm not sure that. Like, if you try and design, if I said to you design an original spaceship, you would be caught between the words original and spaceship because spaceship gives you a certain set of archetypes that you sort of mentally dock at and that inform the shapes that you draw, and original tries to that tries to stop you doing that. And actually, I'm pretty sure that they designed what they thought was a cool spaceship, and over the course of iterations, it ended up looking a little bit like the Asp Explorer, rather than deliberately setting out to emulate it. Not least that I don't think that they would deliberately do something meme-worthy.
Well, this is an interesting point because we do know that there is, according to Crash, one of the concept artists left Frontier and went to work at CIG. And since then, he's left CIG and returned to Frontier. But which has raised a whole load of possibilities that, there might be duplication of design. The concept.
Yeah. This is Josh Attack, isn't it? Commander Badger.
Yes, it is. I wasn't actually going to out him like that, Ben, but
it's all public knowledge that he worked for Frontier and he worked for CIG, and now he's working for Frontier again. So
yes,
I don't think we're hiding him.
Yeah, but the similarity is quite astounding. Obviously, Star Citizen really needs a ship that they can put in front of things.
It's quite different. The utility, the Elite Dangerous one is a multi-purpose with an exploration bent, and the Star Citizen is a freighter, I believe. And Kai is right in chat that they are a very different size as well. In general, the Elite Dangerous ships are much larger than the Star Citizen's ones. In fact, the ships that are considered large in Star Citizen would probably be small in Elite. The Karak in Star Citizen was released earlier this year, I think, or late last year. Is a large ship, and it is comparably. It's probably something like. Let me think. It's probably not as big as the Asp Scout. So the ships in Star Citizen in general are way smaller.
Okay, because I was looking at the ship that's now on screen, and it's got a couple of people standing outside of it, and it looks from that screenshot to it looks like it's about the same size, but I could be wrong.
No, it's you get the hint that it'll be the same size, but remember the Asp Explorer has a double deck cockpit.
Yeah, that looks like it's a double decker cockpit.
And the cockpits in Elite are generally like conservatories. They're socking great rooms made out of glass. The cockpits in Star Citizen, the cockpits in Star Citizen are more like windows that you sit behind. They're more like the cockpits in fighter jets that we know of in the real world. So it's that you see the cockpit and your brain thinks, cockpit, and that's a cockpit. They're going to be similar, but actually one of them is the size of a house, and the other one's the size of slightly larger than a small car. Yeah, smaller even.
Do we have an interior shot of the Star Citizen ship?
We don't know.
No, it's got a weird. Doesn't it fly with the back open or something?
I don't know.
Like an absent-minded weekly shopper.
Like the Mandalorian.
Yes. Right then. Well, I think we'll leave the development news aside. There wasn't a Thursday stream this week, mostly because I think everybody was busy getting the Epic Store up and running. So we don't have anything to really talk about on that one. As far as the in-game events are concerned, there have been 3 noteworthy pieces of news. First of all, the Marlinist terrorists have now attacked the Federation this time to kill their captured activists before they could spill any beans on Marlinist operations. They're not really making friends, are they? Because we've got a station on fire, a Federation station on fire with the same bomb effects that affected the Empire a few months ago. Now, the other important news is that the balancing has now started. And they've managed to cover themselves with this by saying that the commodity prices have been affected by market What?
You missed a very important piece of Galnet news about Cordon.
That was going to be number 3.
That's Galnet news. You were doing the Galnet news stuff. Sorry, I didn't realize you were doing that next.
I said there were going to be 3 items. I explained about the Marlinist terrorists. I was just explaining about the commodity prices.
I thought you were moving on to the balancing. Sorry, my bad.
No.
Sorry.
So, for anybody who is listening to Lave Radio for the first time, you can imagine this is the level of professionalism that you can expect from Elite Dangerous' premier podcast.
This is us. This is just normal. This is how it doesn't get any better. This is absolutely.
Yeah. It's very much reminds me of the Red Dwarf crew when they're looking at the life scanner going, and we're going to live. Anyway, commodity prices have been the fact that they're doing the rebalancing has been covered by this Galnet News article saying that the commodity prices have been affected by the market's instability, which is referring to the current tensions between the Empire and the Federation. I thought that was quite a nice way to kind of cover all these price fluctuations in lore. What does anyone else think?
About balancing or about the lore?
About the lore. Don't worry, we'll come to the balancing later. God help us.
I've just been broken by what Jonathan Teatime sent me.
Purple Python?
Oh no.
I mean,
yeah,
that is quite accurate.
He's comparing the Star Citizen Nomad to a raw plucked chicken.
Yeah, I can. I'm never going to be able to look on the Asp the same way again.
As far as law is concerned, I don't know. It sounds a bit of a MacGuffin, really. You know, it's a bit like in The Rise of Skywalker, where the Emperor says, "Oh, I've been here all along."
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know.
God, yeah.
I know. It's but I like the fact that they're actually using, instead of saying, "Oh, we're just altering the prices," they've actually put a reason for it happening in the lore. And of course, finally, as Ben implemented was saying earlier, there is now a campaign underway because it seems that Lakon Spaceways is now the subject of a takeover bid by Core Dynamics. Now, these are two different companies that make ships. Lakon Spaceways, they're famous for actually making the aforementioned Asp Explorer and a few others. Not so much the Asp Scout, but let's say about that.
Yeah, they're not super famous for making the Asp Scout.
No, they'd rather be in the they'd rather forget people. People would forget them for making the Asp Scout. But yes, so basically this is caused ripples in the manufacturing sector, especially as Lakon has been in partnership with the Alliance for several years. Now, the main issue about this is that the community has responded. The hashtag Save Lakon Spaceways has been appearing all over the place, which I think that's fantastic. It's nice to see the community try and save a company.
I mean, do we have a mechanical way to affect that in game, or is it just expressions of goodwill at present? Like, is there a CG or a poll anywhere?
Not yet.
No,
not yet. But normally, when these pieces of news go in, it does tend to end up being resolved by some kind of event.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, since the interstellar initiatives, they do tend to have a bearing on something sooner or later.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who thinks that if Lakon is in a weak enough position, they should just get taken over? You know, why are they special?
It's a good point. I mean, yeah. How protectionist do we want the Elite Dangerous universe? It's a good question.
Well, it all depends on whether or not the Alliance sees Lakon as their private, as theirs, if you see what I mean. And you could expect them to step in.
There's not a monopolies and mergers
organisation,
is there? You know, so if they run their business in such a lame way, so they get taken over, then why should they get bailed out?
Well, sometimes you have a smaller, more efficient and better company creating better products, and a bigger company will just buy them out to eliminate the competition.
Lakon products aren't the best in anything, other than looking like a scruffy student's flat from the inside.
What are Lakon the best at? I mean, you make a good point. They used to be
I would argue,
the best explorers, but they've been pipped to that by the Phantom, haven't they?
Which is also Lakon. No, the trait is the trait. I thought the trait Phantom was is that not Lakon?
Falcon de Lacy, mate.
Okay, sorry. It's just what about the best cockpits?
Best cockpit gives you the best view.
Yeah.
Come on, let's face it. Lakon are the Amstrad of spaceships, aren't they?
That's cruel.
They are like the Beko specials, like the really cheap. If I was to buy a Lakon ship, I would get it from AliExpress. To be honest.
Do you remember how in the 90s all video games, especially real-time strategy video games, had an American analog which were all about technology, and then they had a Soviet analog which are always all about big, clumpy, square-shaped tanks and people with moustaches barking things in an ursine fashion at each other. I kind of feel like Lakon looks like it's been made by Lakon looks like it's the ship company that Command and Conquer designers would have made for the Soviet Union in 3301, basically.
The red alert.
Yeah, precisely that.
Yeah. So that is the state of the galaxy as of the moment. So Yeah, it's I do like the fact that we're still getting the content drops. I think it's such a relief to have them, especially after the content drought we had at the beginning of the year. Yes, we've also had a newsletter this week, newsletter 306. Now, it includes articles on the championship races, the Fatherhood podcast, another podcast. Aren't we good enough? They also give details about the Black Friday sale until the 26th of November, which is 30% off, and new Aspen Sidewinder skins. Surprisingly, about the Sidewinder skins, that's because everybody's flying one at the moment. So, yeah. It actually seemed to be quite newsworthy this week for a change. So, what we're going to do is we will take a short break with a couple of adverts, and then we'll come back with the main discussion.
Are you struggling with paying fines? Do you lose sleep in hyperspace worrying about docking at the next space station? If the answer is yes, then you need to call Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services.
I got scanned while in Federation space and was caught carrying slaves. It was an unexpected expense that I couldn't afford on top of my fines for damage caused whilst docking.
We can help you consolidate all your existing fines into a single large fine, payable in regular instalments at what is almost a competitive interest rate.
I called Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services, and they helped me pay my existing fines before I got a bounty on my head. They really saved my life.
At Cowell & McGrath, we've helped thousands of pilots whose fines had spiralled out of control.
I dared not go near a police star system. Got so desperate that I'd almost resigned myself to a life of piracy. Luckily, I found Cowell & McGrath's services before I actually murdered anyone in cold blood.
No fines too big, no criminal record too damning. We're here to help you, no questions asked. Find us in the Lave business directory.
I'd got into debt as a result of a massive counter lawsuit by Watt and Prittney. It happened because I'd taken advice on pipe and protection insurance from... Wait a minute! It was you!
Cowell & McGrath. Minimum liability, zero accountability. Warning, balances may go up as well as down. Missed payments may lead to repossession of your ship, seizure of cargo, or the issuing of a death warrant.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
And welcome back. Now, obviously, the main subject, the big subject at the moment, is the game balancing, which is happening currently in the whole system. What we know so far? Well, we know that the mining is getting a balance pass now, and we know that in a couple of weeks, combat will be getting another balance pass. And when we mean balancing, we mean effectively the rewards for doing the activities are changing. The actual activities themselves are staying the same. Now, the reason that they've said this is that they think that commanders make money too fast and race through the game. So, what is everybody's opinion of how they're approaching this?
I think it's great. I think I I'm really heartened by the thoroughness with which they are approaching it. I think they missed a trick by missing some obvious areas when they first discussed it, and then ran the risk of looking reactionary afterwards. So, for example, they didn't include. So piracy is an obvious one. Piracy has specialized equipment. It's been in the game since the very, very beginning. The risk of piracy is part of the fundamental threat of the Elite Dangerous universe, and it's and the existence of it is the source of most of the tension of your supposed life as a space trucker. But it is supported by the game's sort of credit balance or economy very poorly. Like being a pirate is completely is a complete hiding to nothing. And although actually piracy is actually great fun, PvE and PvP. I've not done PvP piracy, but I've done a lot of PvE piracy, and it's great fun. It basically doesn't pay for itself. It's a complete waste of time. They completely left that out, which meant that they attracted the ire of the PvP crowd who felt like they were being ignored. And it also it risked looking slightly ill thought through for everybody else. They also ignored AX originally. So in terms of the game's combat challenges or challenges generally, I think AX or anti-Thargoid for new listeners is probably the Thargoids are the game's stiffest challenge, and they are and they come in a range of different difficulty levels, and some of them really are very, very challenging indeed. And there is one in particular that only a handful of players have actually taken out solo, which is remarkable for an MMO that only a handful of players worldwide have completed that content. But it pays virtually nothing. And yet AX was completely left out of their original pitch when they said that they were going to be looking at a balance pass. And they since came back, and then myself and quite a lot of other people highlighted this and said, look, why are you not including AX? And they since said, no, we will be looking at AX, but they missed it out originally, which made it look quite reactive. But what they had been thinking about from the get-go, which they proactively decided to look at, was the rewards from regular combat rather than AX, and trade and mining and all that sort of thing, which is brilliant. So yeah, long story short, I think it's very, very good. I think they probably could have looked more comprehensively at all activities the game offers, and I'm still concerned that they're gonna leave piracy out, which will leave it as a slightly ugly duckling, which is a bit of a shame, seeing as it's so pivotal in the fiction. But broadly, it's really great that they're finally getting around to looking at this, I think.
Okay, Shan.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching what they are doing. I do agree AX has been severely underfunded because you can quite easily incur as much repair costs as you can reward for killing a Cyclops or whatever. So it can quite easily cost you more money than
the
you
reward.
get back. Yeah. The other thing is, and I'm sure we'll touch on the mining one later, is we've been saying for months and months and months, probably for 2 years, that the way to balance mining earnings is to reduce the top end for mining commodities. And lo and behold, after these months and months and months of study that they told us they're doing, they came up with what, to me anyway, was a blindingly obvious answer. And for me, I'm a little bit frustrated because it's been going on for 2 years. So what you have is we talked how, welcome to the new players and stuff aboard, but they've kind of missed the gravy train in a way because of it. And I just think there's now a 2-speed economy where you've got the people who jumped on board the mining when it was easy and everyone else. I'm not sure I like the split.
Okay, well, I must admit I'm one of those people because I didn't do the mining. I was busy grinding away the AX in order to get the triple elite.
I didn't do the mining either.
Yeah, and the whole thing is the whole thing was ridiculous because I ended up having to run missions in order to up my credits enough to actually carry on doing it. But yeah, the mining at the moment is well, what they've gone and done is they've put approximate maximum prices offered by markets on the following three commodities. So Paynite will get you a maximum of 600,000 credits a ton. Low temperature diamonds will get you a maximum of 700,000 credits a ton. And void opals will get 1.3 million credits per ton. Now, that's not the average results. That's if you managed to find what is known as a gold rush. I mean, do you think, Shan, you've said those levels you were happy with?
No, I'm glad they did it, but I think the levels are still far too high for the amount of effort expended. I mean, I just noticed in one of our chats, laser mining. Well, there's no risk to laser mining. You just sit there and
Yeah.
core mine. It's for 1 million credits. I mean, that's a huge amount of money, really, in terms of what it buys. And yeah, I think it's too much effort. It's too much money for too little effort, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but this is my opinion. I think that the way Elite Dangerous is structured at the moment, the way you earn credits, I think it's too easy to skip over the early ships, and then far too hard later on to get the bigger ships up to the level you need it to.
Interesting.
It just feels like the grind is. There's no grind at the beginning, but the grind at the end is just too much.
It depends on what you. I know we've gone over this before, but it depends what you call progression. Because I would say getting a ship like an Anaconda is comparatively easy. What takes the amount of time is the engineering and that amount of effort required to get it. Not I wouldn't say competitive, but get it.
Yeah.
Get it to a level where
it can defend itself against other players. Yeah. Kaizen makes a good point. Is how the hell do you balance mining when laser mining works, but core mining is broken because the pulse wave analyzer only works in reverse at the moment.
What does reverse? What does he mean, reverse? I don't understand that.
Well, basically, when you fire off the pulse wave analyzer, normally in previous versions, the asteroids in front of you would all, if they had deposits which you could deep core mine, they would turn different colors. It seems that a bug's got in where if you fire off the pulse wave analyzer, it only lights up asteroids behind you. So you're flying through the asteroid belt, you're firing off your pulse waves, and nothing's coming up.
Weird.
But if you go into the external view, you can see all these golden asteroids which are full of resources which you've just passed.
That's really strange. It's a really strange bug.
Apparently, it's a server buffer error, which causes them to delay 30 seconds. So it seems like the ones behind you.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So it's not actually reversed according to Kaizen.
If you fly at 0, if you set your speed to 0, fire it off. Is it then in front of you then?
It should be.
Yeah, if you wait 30 seconds, yeah.
So basically, but that's the problem with deep core mining, is that I've always found it's horrible unless you're moving fast.
Well, it's also I don't enjoy mining either. Some people enjoy it, I think. Personally, I'm not super bothered by it. I think Shan is probably right that we will end up with a slightly two-speed economy whereby players who mined during the boom, during the good years, have more money than most players can hope to get through normal play. But personally, I'm relaxed about that because I don't feel like Elite is particularly dependent on interplayer dynamics anyway. But And I think that the potential benefit from doing this balance far outweighs the cost of having a slightly two-speed player base. And also, I think that generally there are worse things in life than some players having legacy benefits that others don't. You could arguably say the same thing about Kickstarter backers having benefits that other people don't.
You could arguably say the same thing about real life.
Families, enormously,
who've they got in somewhere on the ground level, went off and dug a couple of railroads, and look at all of a sudden, they're running a country.
Precisely, yes. I think that I think it's a small price to pay for a game which is fundamentally healthier and better balanced and more enjoyable for new players. Because new players will also include all of us at some point. Like I've just got one of these elite alts, and Dr. Kai and I are about to start a new elite save where we both just start from absolutely scratch and experience the game completely from cold. When Odyssey drops, we're going to do that anyway.
Let's face it, we'll all be new players in Odyssey, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. So arguably a more balanced game benefits everybody, even the people who have legacy benefits.
Right. Do you like the idea that they're lowering mining, but they're bringing stuff like combat? They're raising that up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Dr. What am I talking about? Arthur on Elite Week explained that the axis that the game was balanced on was historically about incentivizing less sort of thrilling activities by making them pay more. I can't remember what the wording was, but it's a fascinating interview, and he said that there had been a deliberate policy to make the game's more sedate activities, I'm paraphrasing, pay more, so to incentivize people to broaden their experiences rather than just doing what he thought of as the most thrilling, the most exciting things like bounty hunting or piracy or AX or whatever. And this, well, I don't think it's.
It is. It's like saying from now on, we're not going to pay Lewis Hamilton and Premier League footballers £150,000 a week. We're going to give that same amount of money to fishermen.
Well, it makes sense.
Fishermen, but it's I don't know. It's a very strange way of balancing a game to.
It makes sense.
Try and make it as soporific as possible.
That's not what they did, though. It wasn't that they're trying to make it boring. It's that they're trying to make sure people engage with the bits that they thought of as less of a reward in their own right. Arthur used the phrase, a reward in their own right. I think that's exactly what he said. And he's right that some aspects of the game are, I'm going to stick something on. I'm going to watch something on the second monitor, stick some music on, relax after a day of work, and other things are seat of the pants excitement. And I think that philosophy that the game used to be built on makes sense if you think about the player experience, because most players will have engaged with all aspects, all gameplay styles, because they will do things like bulk trading or mining to finance doing the more thrilling aspects like AX, because you're certainly not going to upgrade any ships just by scout hunting alone, are you?
No.
So I feel like that admission in that interview was really telling, because it basically explained a lot of why I basically used to feel like I logged in and I made the decision, all right, am I gonna achieve my goals this evening, or make some money and get towards my next ship target, or am I gonna have fun? That was the question I asked whenever I logged into the game. And that is the pernicious aspect of their philosophy they used to have, because that's actually not that helpful. That's not that healthy. You want a game in which you can achieve your goals and have fun at the same time. So I feel like this new axis where they're balancing, rather than essentially it being about boredom versus reward, it's now going to be about risk and skill versus reward. And that, I think, is a much, much healthier situation for the game to be in.
So the TLDR of that is, the previous idea was you got paid for doing shit.
Yeah, you got good paid for stuff that you wouldn't think of doing.
That most people would think of as boring, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that did get me was when basically you could earn so much money from mining, right when I think it was Beyond, the last upgrade of Beyond came out. Everyone went, you're not going to nerf this. And it seemed to me that, that was being saved up for something else. And it was just 18 months before we got the thing that we could buy with it, with the money you generated from it. I did feel that they let the cat out of the bag too early, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway, does anybody else want to got anything more to say on this?
Yes, I mean, as I say, it'll be interesting to see what they choose to focus on. Although part of me thinks that the focus on big ships and credits and things is, I know they're the thing everyone focuses on, and that's completely understandable. But whatever happened to enjoying the content because it's enjoyable, regardless of the reward? And for me, that's the key to long-lasting gameplay. Is you actually engage in an activity that may not be watching a number crank up, but it's just so fun, so engaging, and so enjoyable. It doesn't matter what the reward is, because hey, you've had a great time with your friends, and that rather intangible and fluffy set of rewards, I think, is probably something I would prefer them to aim for than work out some notional idea of credit balancing.
I agree with that broadly. I just don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I don't think. I think that it should be possible for people to have fun and make their notion of progress. And for most people, progress in Elite is the progression through the ships. They shouldn't be mutually exclusive. And to be fair, the game they're not entirely mutually exclusive. If you wing up with a few friends and go Cyclops hunting, you can make reasonable amounts of money. And if you do wing massacre missions, you can also have a quite exciting time and make a hell of a lot of money. But by and large, the activities that fulfill both of those goals are few and far between, I think, in Elite Dangerous. And personal preference aside. So I think what you say is absolutely correct, but I think that they probably can. They're not mutually exclusive. There's a healthy overlap there that they could increase.
Well, I do know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm definitely on the slower lane of the 2-lane motorway at the moment, because because I was concentrating on going after scouts, Thargoid scouts rather. I missed out on the big mining rush. So there's a lot of people I know who have got, the big fleet carriers, and it does appeal to me to have a fleet carrier at some point. But I'm now looking at that 5 billion price tag, and also obviously the 2 billion on top, just to keep it running for a year or so, and I'm there thinking, that's too much now.
It's not 5 billion; it's nearer 10, to be honest. What you need for a carrier, but it's interesting also, Colin. I was thinking about that. Is that if you'd have bought a carrier and you were out of action for 2 weeks with COVID, or it wasn't, but it could have been longer, then all that effort you put into buying that carrier could have been lost if you hadn't had sufficient money in the bank to keep it. And you'd have come back from COVID and you'd have found it's just been sold off.
Yeah, I know that's one thing that I've had to deal with in Power Play. Basically, because I haven't been playing Power Play, my rank within my faction just was non-existent when I came back, because obviously 3 Power Play cycles had passed, and if you were at rank 3, that's it. You're right back at the very beginning. This problem is that they've got to keep a motivation. I understand that they've got to keep some kind of motivation for you to keep on logging in and keep on playing the game. It's just, I don't know, when it does bite you, it does bite hard. Sue, have you got something about fleet carriers?
Yeah, I was going to say that so realistically, people who wanted to get a fleet carrier within 60 hours, for example, which is the playtime most people expect out of modern video games. When fleet carriers were introduced, if you wanted one within 60 hours, you were realistically looking at at mining, core mining specifically, not even the full mining experience. And Frontier didn't sort of the way they put it was that they wanted it to be for the most the small percentage of the most dedicated commanders. Realistically, it's the people that are willing to put those kind of hours into that particular extremely specific gameplay. This balancing, I don't think it's easy for us to worry like, oh, it's basically going to be a mining nerf and then fleet carriers will be completely unavoidable. I don't think it would make sense if they were completely unavoidable. Like I've been wrong loads of times about Elite, and it could easily be that fleet carriers are now completely impossible for anybody to afford. But I don't think they would do that with something that they were developing for 3 years and they released, and it's the flagship feature of this year. I don't think that they would make that completely unobtainable. So it wouldn't surprise me if, yes, mining was nerfed a bit, but a lot of other things became a lot more lucrative. And actually, just through balanced, regular play, engaging with lots of different bits of the game over the course of a few months, got people much closer to that 5 billion than we can currently by just normal play.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave the balancing for the moment, because obviously this is a work in progress and we're going to be following this very closely over the next couple of months. There was quite an interesting comment made in the forums regarding the balancing. Someone had asked Bruce what his opinion was on open only BGS and power play, and he's actually admitted that he does seem to fall into the I'd prefer that the BGS and power play is only affected by players who are playing in open kind of camp. That caused a bit of a
that was great to see.
A reaction.
I was really thrilled to say that. It's the first time, I think it's the first time that anybody from Frontier has had anything to say on the on power play, and specifically the open question for
4 years.
Well, I mean, when did Sandro discuss it last? Was it 2016 or 2018?
Oh, I'm sure it's 2016.
Okay, well, in that case, 4 years, and since then, like during the Will Flanagan era, it was all you'd hear about it was, we've got nothing to announce on that currently, or we've got nothing to say. That was the first time we've actually heard a CM offer something beyond nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just his. We have to emphasize it's just his personal opinion that he would prefer it to be the BGS and the power play to be open only, but. That did seem to set the cat among the pigeons.
And the second. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. You first.
The second part of his post was maybe before long we will revisit that question, which is interesting because so him expressing a personal preference is one thing, but maybe before long we'll get to revisit that sounded a bit more of a hint than anything else, and that in itself is enormous news, because some people like the indomitable Rubber Nuke on the forums have been banging the drum for power play heroically for absolutely years, literally several years now.
Yes,
and so a dev saying, maybe before long we'll get to revisit that is pretty big news, I think.
Shan, you've got something to say?
It was quite good to see the open power play come back into the limelight again. I've never been against open power play so long as they decouple the modules from the power play, because of the way the consoles work, you have to belong to the PS network and you have to pay to get the open experience. There's an element of pay to win there, and I was always felt a bit uneasy about that because of that reason. But if you decoupled the modules from power play, what you're left with is you're actually left, if you like, with a pure power play experience, because I would wager the majority of people do power play just to get the shiny shields or the Grom bombs or whatever it is they want. They're not in it for the gameplay, for power play. They're just in it for the rewards. So
that is quite true.
Yeah.
So if you decouple the modules from that mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
You're left with almost like a game within a game.
Yeah,
I
which
think
is what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. And open only, I think, lends itself to that mechanic if you decouple those modules.
Well, I would actually agree with you and disagree with you in that case, because the main problem that I've always seen with power play is that they don't want to put any resources into it in order to fix it. So my solution to this was actually a hybrid model where people could actually still do the preparation part of power play, which is what they mostly do anyway to get the modules. But the expansion parts and the control parts of power play are only done in open only, so that you've got your mainstream PvP loops right there, and it is. But the best way I've always thought was, I'll agree with Shan and say, right, take the modules out, put them behind one of the tech traders with a task equivalent to the 4 weeks of grind you have to do in order to get the module, and leave the power play gameplay for the people who would like to play power play, not get modules. Because
not really grind though, is it? I mean, it's how much do you get prismatic shields? 6 million.
It's not 6 million shields. It's you have to basically work up to level 3, so you're at least at 3-4 weeks. What?
Well, you can get that by buying comics, can't you? You buy the pamphlets, and you pay to accelerate the amount at which you can buy the pamphlets.
No, you can you can do that, but you've still got to be pledged to a power for a certain length of time before you can actually get those things.
There's no difference to your gameplay, really, is there? If you just choose to buy the pamphlets, buy the comics, and do a couple of cargo runs once a week for 3 or 4 weeks, that's not really a grind, is it? Not in the traditional sense, because you're paying to speed up.
Well, that's exactly what. Hang on. What I was saying was that you need to do something which is equivalent to doing that activity in power play.
Yeah, I'd go along. I'd go along with that, but I hesitate to call getting modules in power play a grind, because it's not, in my mind anyway.
It is a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Shan, have you actually done that activity just to get your prismatic shields?
Yeah, I've got all of them. I've unlocked all of them.
Fair enough. I mean,
it wasn't a grind. I just loaded up my cutter and.
Shan, you've got to remember you are unique in your opinion on these things.
Yeah, you have non-mainstream opinions on terminology.
I think certainly out of the people on air, you've got a 1 in 4 opportunity. One in 4 of us thinks this is not a grind.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the rest of us probably think it's a grind.
You're also saying that it wasn't a grind to you because you loaded up the best ship in the game, which is hidden behind not only the highest price tag of any regular ship in Elite Dangerous, but also the very top of one of the rank trees. So it wasn't a grind because you are the most veteran of veteran players, basically.
I've played many other games and many of the MMOs, and there's been much bigger grinds in those to get the equivalent thing. There's been elements in there that's been so grindy, you almost tear your hair out getting them. And in my mind, in comparison with that, it's minor. I mean, you talk about the cutter. Yes, it's behind the rank lock and it's expensive, but to be honest, you can do it in a Python. You just take more trips. It's to my measure of grind, it's not a grind compared to compared to other games I've played. And I guess that's where I'm coming from.
I think the power play modules question is interesting because they were inserted by and Frontier back in 2013 had no experience of running an online game, and it's been slightly see how we go with a lot of things of Elite Dangerous. And personally, I've always said that Elite's development has slightly been characterized by the slow and occasionally painful process of finding out what running an MMO is like. And I feel like it was designed with the idea that the modules would be interesting flavor for the people supporting the powers. So, the idea was that they wouldn't define the play style of those powers and they wouldn't give anybody an unfair advantage. They would just be an interesting little bit of flavor for the people who wanted to engage with that content. And obviously that's not how MMOs work. And what they were viewed as is tools that everybody should have, and every player should be like Shan and have every single one of them. And I don't care what the cost is. I'm going to do whatever it takes until I've got them. In the same way that everybody viewed engineering not as a way to have lots of unique components that were unique to them, but as a very, very painful way to absolutely max out a set of sliders. And I think that the only way to really accommodate that fact would be to do what people have suggested, and that is take them out of the power play system and make those modules available from technology brokers.
Yeah, I think I know it's a little bit of a diversion from where we're going, but I think the power play modules are really underused in the game, because if you go to Orisa space, or if you go to Ashling Duval space especially, when do you ever see an NPC ship with prismatic shields to fight against? When do you ever encounter an NPC ship with Grom bombs or whatever? You never see the ships with the modules of that power. So it becomes a bit of an incentive then to, if you want an easy time of it, take over a certain, ensure a power gets a certain bit in a certain area of space, because the stuff you're facing is going to be loaded out accordingly. There's so much more they could have done with it rather than just leave it as a reward for being a postman.
They do. The only ones that I notice are prismatics because they're very visible, and I regularly come across NPCs with prismatics.
I don't know, it's head blow it too quick.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say. I'm afraid to say, Shan, judging by the chat room, you're definitely in a minority here about the grind thing.
One person's grind is another person's enjoyment, and people have different tolerances to grind. I mean, my tolerance for grind, I would say, has traditionally been quite low. Which sounds bizarre looking at the chat, but yeah, it's individuals, I think, rather than a measure. Yeah, below. If you do this 10 times, it's not a grind. If you do it 11 times, it is. I don't think it's anything prescriptive as that.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Evil of On in the chat room has asked, how does the current grind to get a fleet carrier compare to the original grind to get an Anaconda? And I feel that the Anaconda was harder, but then again, didn't play that much.
I would after Gamma. Yeah, I'll say after Gamma, getting a Cobra, and especially getting an Asp, was seen as a lot of work. If you got an Asp, then you were there. You'd made it.
In the first couple of patches, definitely.
Yeah. I think up until 1.2, basically, if you were flying around in an Asp, people were scared of you.
Mm.
And it was very rare to see a player Anaconda back then.
Yeah, I mean, I know I felt that I'd really made it in inverted commas when I got myself a Type 9 and I was able to do like trips of sort of with 400 or 500 tons of stuff in me. And actually able to, and even then I hadn't maxed out my Type 9. It was just like it was an E-rated or D-rated Type 9, just full of cargo racks and a jump range of about 3 light years.
Yeah. I mean, in my personal opinion, Evil of On, I think that the fleet carrier grind going forward after all these balance changes are in, it's probably going to be worse than the Anaconda grind.
Yeah.
We'll see. It might be that combat and everything like that is going to suddenly be easier and better.
To be fair, the past that you guys say that, I remember when it was a real achievement to have the big ships. That, arguably that's how it should be. The Anaconda is an enormous vessel. It's the size of a village. Like it is probably right that there aren't very many. It would be great if it'd probably be appropriate if there weren't very many player ones, and if having one was a real achievement. That sounds a bit elitist, but it's but like I don't think if the same was true of fleet carriers, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. If seeing one was, oh wow, that player must have really achieved X, Y, or Z. I don't think that would be a terrible thing because it is the single most it's the biggest ticket item in the entire game, isn't it?
If you remember your elite fiction, then it was only sort of Jabba the Hutt level of crime lords who had anacondas. It was that level of, oh my god, they've got an anaconda, they are the kingpin of this sector, or whatever it was. It wasn't, it was just a big deal in elite fiction to see an anaconda.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. I mean, what was actually quite interesting, and I don't know whether Ben remembers this, but as the players got further and further into the game, and all of a sudden players were starting to be able to afford things like the Python, it turned out that the next ship up was so overpowered that it had to be nerfed several times before the players moved on to the next one.
Yep.
Because the Python originally was, he had this
amazing
shield strength. It was as maneuverable as a Cobra originally, and it had nearly as good a shields as an Anaconda.
Yeah, it was blazingly overpowered. But anyway, on that note, there is obviously a little subject to touch on with the doubled engineered modules, but I think we've run out of time for this one, so we can move that one over to next week unless there's some new major reveal happening. So over to the community corner. Well, we have the Dark Wheel update. For those of you who don't know, the Dark Wheel the Dark Wheel initiative is basically a player group who is trying to expand the Dark Wheel across the galaxy in an effort to find their base and or Draxler. So at the moment, the Dark Wheel have now expanded from Paralek, and after that, they've got 2 more expansions to get to 509, and then we'll next expand to the Sol test site. They're currently working on climbing in Ark and Lave. Yes, where they're number 2 in both the systems. And Kaizen, friend of the show, says we fully intend to conquer the Lave system now and install Edelweiss Ben as the puppet emperor of that system. Then get drunk, forget it, and say it was a joke, and spend the next year or so following his every order. I'm sorry, I don't want Ben as in charge of Lave Station. I'm quite sure Alan would have something to say about that.
Shut up and get on your knees.
In your dreams. Anyway.
Well, you know,
Python.
You're back to the Python thing again. Oh, no, we're going to move on from that. So cheap jokes aside, let's move along. Now, this I found to be incredibly impressive. Operation Ida has left its mark on the galaxy. Now, on the 14th of November, Operation Ida welcomed the esteemed Commander Astro Snufkin back to the bubble. Now, Astro Snufkin has departed the Malthus terminal in the Pleiades sector, which is the home of Operation Ida, who, if you do not know, they are a fantastic player group who repair damaged stations. They had spent 18 months repairing every single damaged stations that the Thargoids had hit, and they did it with a great deal of determination. Well, this Commander Astro Snufkin decided to pay tribute to them by basically drawing the Operation Ida logo on the Galaxy. So he did 31,081 jumps in a trusty Sidewinder with a 33.65 light year range. By the way, what's the tool that you can use in order to draw on the Galaxy? Is it a?
I would argue it's called your frameshift drive.
No, because if you look at Operation,
how did he plot it and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, how do they actually get the image? Obviously, he plotted the route, but what tool is used in order to plot the route?
Basically, he went off and we did this for what was that thing that we did, Suv? Can you remember?
Was it the fuel rats?
Remember we did something where we drew we both drew a letter or something. Anyway, Suv and I have taken part in something. I've not done it.
Well, anyway, we've got some.
Yeah, basically they draw a piece of thing on trace paper, and then from that, they basically work out the galactic coordinates. Then they go off and look up where these galactic coordinates are to the nearest planet, and plot everything from there.
Yes,
that's amazing.
And of course, yeah, and of course, their hyperspace route is then used as a template, which you can then overlay on top of the Galaxy. Which, yeah, I mean, and the stats on this are absolutely amazing. Jumps 31,081. Total distance 924,576.24 light years. I would have just rounded
up or down. That's incredible. That's nearly 1 million light years. That's astonishing.
Halfway to Andromeda, isn't it?
Yeah, at the moment. Yeah. Although it is getting closer. Andromeda. No.
We're going to merge, aren't we? Target's shrinking.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a bang. Hopefully, mankind will be able to cope with this at some point, but we'll see. Anyway,
I do like this sort of thing they do because it's very clever and it takes a long time and an awful lot of planning. Seeing this sort of thing, before I kind of inspired to do this sort of thing in my car because you can because as part of the logging, for the car, you can record like a lifetime journey. So the trip you've done here, where he's done it in the Galaxy, you can draw that on a map of the UK. So when we're allowed to drive around, I'm going to be plotting how to draw that in my car.
No, you won't be plotting that, will you? You'll be plotting something else, like everybody does.
No, I'm not rude. No, I haven't worked out what the symbol is yet. But in the lifetime map, I'm definitely going to draw an image in the country using the car when we're allowed out.
Yeah, that does remind me of what the RAF and the American Air Force had a bit of a competition to see who could draw the biggest phallic symbol in the sky. All the pilots got reprimanded for it, but apparently the RAF won.
Nice.
Yes. So, yeah, they didn't do any dockings, any repairs. Fuel rats or the hull seals were not called. They used the FSD injection, but they didn't use any of the neutron superhighway. And the bottom point of the logo is at Pleiades sector HR-1 D1-41. Obviously, the center of the logo is Sag-A. And yes, he undocked from Malthus terminal at the beginning of April this year, and then came back again on the 18th of November. So, wow. It's just phenomenal. We also have a video of it being drawn. We will put the link in the show notes, so you can go to YouTube and have a look at it. So
there is
yeah,
one. Oh, there is
Go
one
on,
thing
Ben.
about that. You mentioned, he's finishing this thing up in the Pleiades sector. What can happen in the Pleiades sector?
Thargoids normally.
Hyperdictions?
Yes.
Can you imagine a hyperdiction coming in and pulling you 10 light years away from your bloody line? Right at the end.
It doesn't happen. They hyperdictions pull you out in rather slightly
in non-space.
Yeah, no. They hyperdictions pull you out in the system from which you jump. So it feels like you've travelled somewhere, and it would be fun if they dumped you somewhere somewhere completely random between your departure place and your destination. But they don't. They always dump you in the system from which you jumped, I believe.
So it doesn't get logged as a dodgy place.
It would be fun if they did, but they don't.
Well, according to Kaizen, the Andromeda galaxy is 1.3 million light years away at the moment. So actually, he could have made it.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Right then. Well, fair play to Commander Astro Snufkin. Right. In other news, and this affects us directly. Stuart GT, chief moderator of the Elite Dangerous Reddit group. They are holding a competition as soon as the Elite Dangerous Reddit group goes over 250,000 subscribers. Now, this is phenomenal because it wasn't long ago where there was only about 10,000 people in it, but that group has grown phenomenally over the last year or so. And one of the prizes that we're going to offer, is going to be offered, is to be a guest presenter on Lave Radio. God help you. So yes, we're going to offer one poor person the ability to join us at the Orange Sidewinder bar and basically shoot the breeze and tell everybody their opinions about what they're thinking of the Elite Dangerous universe.
Please bring your own hand sanitizer and
that's enough to put anybody off.
I really like that idea of the prize. That's quite original, and it means we have to do less work because they'll be really keen, and we haven't got.
Yes, we need some enthusiasm in there. Oh, what happens if we get someone who will just talk about Blooming Star Citizen or No Man's Sky? Oh, no.
That'd be like every week, won't it?
Right. Moving on again. We have. Oh, go on, Shan. You're a bit bitty.
No, the ideal person to have on Lave Radio would really like Guild Wars 2. And
drink.
And just basically want to eject people out of airlocks. I mean, if we know anyone like that, then that'd be fantastic.
So if you like the equivalent of making the elite equivalent of making people walk the plank, yes, contact Commander Shan here at Lave Radio.
Well, Shan's basically going to get one of his broods to enter the competition, isn't
he? My brood? I'm not Zerg. I don't have a brood.
You definitely have a brood.
One of the Shanlings.
One of your clutch of bugle piping offspring.
Oh dear. Anyway, right. Let's move on before we. Can I just point out to the rest of the crew that Shan's offlings, if you like, are all trained to kill. So
they're Shanlings. The Shanlings.
The Shanlings.
Deadly Shanlings.
Dear. Deadly Shanlings. Yeah. Right. Now this has been talked about at the moment is Distant Worlds 3. For those of you who are unaware of what Distance World is, it is effectively the biggest exploration, organized exploration efforts done by the community to go to far off reaches of the galaxy. Now, Distant Worlds 1 and 2 have been categorized as, big successes, and now they're beginning to think about Distant Worlds 3. Ben, do you know anything more about this?
I know a little bit. So the short version is that they're talking about it. They're talking about it with Frontier. They're talking about it with certain Elite Dangerous authors. Whatever they do, it's going to be once Odyssey is out.
Yeah.
And at the moment, they don't even know if it's going to happen when Odyssey comes out, or we might wait for Odyssey Part 3 or something like that in 2022 or whenever it's going to be.
Yeah.
They need to see basically if there's something in the vanilla version of Odyssey that wets their whistle and does what they're wanting to get, is going to give them what they're wanting to get from it. But if it does, then that's awesome. But if it doesn't, then that's also awesome. It just means we might do it later, or we might not. We got to see what we get.
Yeah, I mean, for all those, it is normally a fantastic community event to be involved in, and I personally, fingers crossed that it does happen. Okay, moving on. As part. Oh, have you got something to say, Sean?
Yeah, I put dots in about the Distant Worlds.
Sorry.
I would encourage if it does go ahead, I would encourage everyone to go along and do it. I think I've done 2 of them now, and the amount of planning and thought that goes into it by the organisers is just staggering. Because what they do is they set a waypoint, and it might be 5,000 or 7,000 light years away, which sounds a lot, but it's no more than about 3 or 4 hours a week. And they'll end up an area, or they'll on the route. They'll say, "Check out this place. Look at this planet. This has got this story attached to it." So you really, it's almost like a guided tour of the galaxy, and it's very highly recommended to go on it. So I hope they do it. I mean, if they end up at Beagle Point, I will be a little bit disappointed, because that's kind of where they've ended up in subsequent ones. But yeah, as an experience, it's amazing. So if and when it goes ahead, please sign up for it, and I promise I won't shoot you.
Well, we've got an update on the plotting. According to Commander Miggles, it's neither the United States Air Force nor the RAF that have managed to do the biggest phallic symbol in the air. That goes to the Australian national carrier Qantas, who had a flight do it, and we think in a 747. So,
did it have passengers on board?
According to this, they had a celebratory flight which recently had a rather phallic route plotted. Investigations are now being launched into who plotted that route. So, yes, we'll have to pass the the trophy over to Qantas. That's phenomenal and silly. Yes, moving on. As part of the Epic Store giveaway, our friends over at HCS Voice Packs are doing something similar. At the moment, there is a free voice pack that's available for anybody who wants it. At the HCS Voice Pack website. This voice pack is the lovely Kate Russell, who did a voice pack as, I think, was one of the first voice packs that came out, actually. Yes, it's well worth a listen if you want to have Kate in, explaining how the ship works and basically.
I think it's a Doris voice.
Yeah, well, Doris is the electronic sarcastic one. Kate is the nice one, but she does occasionally have the occasional
Can I just
choice
say
word to say.
here, Colin?
Pardon?
It's actually Sweet Fanny Adams to do with the Epic Store stuff. It's to do with Black Friday.
Yeah. Well, they had timed it to happen at the same time as the Epic Store. So you could get your free copy of Elite, and if you've got Voice Attack, you've got a free voice pack available to you as well.
Okay. Kai's saying it's not Black Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we know it ends in a few days, but I thought it was done to start with in Black Friday.
No, it's done to match the timing of the Epic Store.
Bit of everything.
Bit of everything, I suppose. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd also like to pass our congratulations to Mel for the win, for getting his Twitch partnership. Mel also does a podcast with Psykit, where they interview commanders in the community, which is quite nice. I think, was it Flight Assist?
Yeah, that's it.
Podcast. Yeah.
Flight Assist. Yes, the Flight Assist podcast. There we go.
Yes. So, and the only podcast with a lightning round, I do believe. So, now, last week, and the community question was a little dark. Let's be honest. And to the question, what do you think should be on the gravestone of any of the Lave radio crew? You responded with enthusiasm, I think is the best way to reply. So the best ones we've got are where is my offline mode? I really should have gone into salt mining. That's by Amy Edgar. Philip Morris gives us how much is the rebuy? A certain cycle. A certain Psycho Cow P Mad Cow says we shouldn't have let Shan drive.
What?
Graham McQueen says in Guild Wars 2. Stephen Usher says error, orange sidewinder. John Fletcher says load new commander, brackets yes no. Alec Turner also adds, here's lies Shan, turns out dying was not optional.
Oh,
Patrick Werner gives us, did you shut off the power to this vending machine?
Very good.
We had Senator Drew said, I warned them. Christian Balak says, Shan did it.
I'm feeling a lot of Shan accusations this week.
I don't know, Shan. Perhaps your reputation is well a bit of an eye opener for yourself at the moment.
I know one of them was supposedly my epitaph was "I'm nice, really," which I completely agree with. I am nice.
Okay, if you say so. Anyway, let's see. There are a couple of others as well. Yeah, I just paid for a free game. And Andy Webb has returned out with, it's pronounced Deso. Yeah, so yeah, thanks everybody for that. Those particular answers. Anyway, we shall move quickly on to any other business. Now, has anybody got any other business they'd just like to quickly bring up before I touch on Star Wars Squadrons?
Not from me.
Yeah, just go for the eyes.
Go for the eyes. Yeah, well, we discovered, well, rather, we managed to show Ben that Boo the hamster doesn't just exist in in Baldur's Gate, he also exists in Mass Effect 2 and 3. And if you've ever played the Citadel DLC of Mass Effect 3, you actually get to tell Boo to go for the eyes, which is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. There is one final thing we do have to say is, and thanks to Kai for reminding us about this. Unfortunately, friend of the show and Hutton trucker extraordinaire, and basically our main contact with special effect, Baz, has had a stroke. Just I think last Wednesday. Thankfully, we have had news that he is beginning to recover, and we at Lave Radio and the truckers, as they've already said, mentioned before, we all want to send our wishes, our get well soon wishes to him, because let's be honest, an ECM or a LaveCon is not the same without Baz and the special effect stall over in the corner. And yeah, he does an awful lot of work for that charity. So get well soon, and we hope to see you at the next ECM or LaveCon. Which, yeah.
Hopefully this year we'll all have exams, so we should be able to go to LaveCon.
Yeah. Right. Well, quickly, any other business? Well, I'm actually over the moon because my other favorite game lately, Star Wars Squadrons, has had a couple of updates. So in addition to balance passes, and in December we are getting the B-Wing and a balanced version of the TIE Defender, in addition to a new dogfighting map, which we will be either able to straight dogfight in or do the fleet battles. Now, Ben, are you excited about the addition of the B-Wing?
Oh yeah, the B-Wing is probably my second favorite. My favorite is and probably always shall be the Snowspeeder. But the B-Wing, the B-Wing's basically, is up there for actual space combat.
Yeah. Right.
I'm
Well,
actually encouraged about these Star Wars Squadrons news, because when they released it, they
yeah.
said, right, it's done. Nothing else is coming. Don't expect updates and whatever, because it's done. So for them to add new content on, I think is encouraging.
Was it free?
No, it was £40, which is
no. Was the new ships free?
Oh yes, they are.
That's really cool.
I know. It is a surprise coming from an EA game. I mean,
Have you not noticed though that EA basically goes in cycle? Like EA, the complete and utter swines, and everyone says, "Oh my god, EA are such swine," and then they go like, "Oh my god, everybody thinks we're really nasty because we keep doing loot box thing," and then they flick around for a wee while and release games like Fallen Order and Squadrons, and like, "Oh my god, EA are making really great games now."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we make really great games. We should do things and try. We need to monetize these. I've got an idea. Let's put loot boxes on them.
I think if it was me doing it, you have to shoot 1,000 players, and you had a slight chance of getting a loot box, in which there was a slight chance of unlocking the DLC.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well point out that my favorite Imperial ship, the TIE Defender, it has been balanced. So, for those of you who have played X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and X-Wing Alliance, you will know that the TIE Defender is so overpowered. It's just you can't really play anything else against it. So, apparently they've gone and downgraded the TIE Defender so that Rebel ships actually stand a chance against it, which I can understand why, but one of the fun things about the TIE Defenders, because when you fly in it, you feel like you are a god.
That's
That's
almost
very
three wing thing, isn't it?
yeah. Yes. Yeah, they actually brought it into canon in Star Wars Rebels, which I thought that the way they did it was really nice. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. So
We
we've
have
got
a entry from Commander Bitstorm.
okay.
Here lies a commander that became confused while looking for the landing gear he found. Sorry. Here lies a commander that became confused while looking for the landing gear he found the boost. Yeah, and then I had to find and insert the commas after he wrote that, and as I was reading it.
Yeah, I must admit that there was something massively the other day, which or massively OP, which is the website I follow, where they did ask, "What is your worst oh shit moment in MMOs?" And I've just said, when you hit the boost button when you're trying to dock by accident.
Yeah. It's so inevitable, isn't it? It's horrendous.
Yes. Anyway, moving back on, we're going to go do our shout outs. Obviously, we've mentioned Baz, who's in good spirits, but there does seem to be a very bad trend at the moment of people injuring themselves. Dave Pearson, who is Mr. Head Honcho over at the Hutton Truckers, he's gone and smashed his arm in about 2 or 3 places. So yes, we here at Lave Radio would like to officially call him a pillock. I'm glad to see he's managed to break free from the hospital and has been spotted walking around with a Twitch purple cast that Frontier developers have specially gifted him for watching their stream even before it was broadcast.
How did he break it?
Read up to the top of that paragraph, Colin.
He's just slipped and fell.
Dave Pearson, who's been arranging nice things for managed to slip, fall, break his arm in 2 places, and dislocated his elbow. He then managed to beat the hospital's rugby team, who had been trying to get things back where they should have been. Eventually, the hospital had to knock him out, allowing a team of the NHS's best 8 to reassemble things correctly. He was out. Basically, he was out walking his dog, and then literally the NHS they were trying, and they did fail to basically, they drugged him up and sort of loosened all the muscles and tried to get the arm back where it should have been, and that failed. And they basically had to put him under general anaesthetic, and a team of 8 doctors, a team of 8 people basically had to jiggle his arm back in place.
Oh. They used anaesthetic for that.
They had to general anaesthetic him, yeah. They tried normal anaesthetic and muscle relaxants and all that kind of stuff. And he basically was like, you work your way from the nurse up to a slightly stronger nurse to, right, come on, let's go get all the porters in, lads. So, like, you pull them that way, I'll pull them that way. What's happening?
So it's a slightly stronger nurse, Hattie Jane, matron.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But he's fine now, the pillock.
Yeah. Another Hutton trucker, Eve Talbot, has kind of managed to have an accident with her contact lenses, and all of a sudden that came on the same, I think, the day after Dave Pearson, and they're thinking, are the Hutton truckers all just trying to beat each other up? Poor. From what I hear, Eve's on the mend as well. So yes, it does seem to be the week where everybody got hurt.
Yes, so if you're a Hutton trucker, don't get out of bed today.
Yeah. On the subject of the Hutton truckers, they are of course our sister station. They are broadcast on a Thursday at 8:30 GMT in the evening. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want to listen to them, go to radio.forthemug.com. Also, for the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. So if you want to have your your bottom spanked by Commander Obi-Wan and the Musketeer, then feel free. For those of you who like a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, please subscribe to our and our other sister podcast, The Data Slate. This has been created by our station commander, Alan Stroud, for all your fantasy and sci-fi needs. I think I must admit they are going. They're touching on authors I normally wouldn't have even considered, and they do get you interested in not just the mainstream, but things that encourages you to try different people you're not familiar with. Now, following on from this, we have our Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon. Well, we have the Galnet News Digest, it's not ours. But yes, so hopefully he'll be following after that. And we would like to thank everybody who has chipped in on the Twitch chat, on YouTube, and on Facebook. It's been quite amusing this week. So thanks for that.
We think it's been amusing. Hopefully you do too.
So thanks to everybody for joining in. But that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio. Tweet us at laveradio. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Please be aware this is shared with the Hutton Orbital Truckers, so bring your own deodorant. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out on laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Shan, thanks to Sovereign, and thanks to Commander Edelweiss, and special thanks to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV. And until next time, commanders, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be done. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 24th of November 3306. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news roundup, an apology.
200,000 Sidewinders.
Galactic Roundup.
An apology. Galnet News Digest would like to start with an apology. You may have seen our recent video, Welcome to the Noob Zone, in which we gave some helpful tips for new commanders. Unfortunately, our usually high editorial standards slipped somewhat, and one or two facts were incorrect or omitted completely.
Firstly, we incorrectly stated that the idea that you get awarded a free Anaconda spaceship if you travel to the Hutton Orbital Outpost in the Alpha Centauri system is just a joke. While we were factually correct, we should have made it clear to you that you can buy an Anaconda there for the massively discounted price of 100 credits. For this,
we are sorry. Secondly, we completely failed to mention the special starports that provide free power-ups. These are a special sort of Coriolis station with pods on the ends of extremely long arms that rotate with the station. Known colloquially as noob hammers, the pods are quite hard to collide with, but if you manage this achievement, you get a power-up for your character known as the Remlock Ride. Don't miss out on the opportunity because, as the name implies, the power-up is only available to new players. For this, we are sorry.
We also forgot to mention Mitterrand Hollow, a moon rapidly orbiting New Africa in the Epsilon Indi system. The view from the surface is an absolute must for new commanders. However, be very careful how you approach this fast-moving moon. As you can imagine, if it collides with your spaceship, your ship is very likely to be destroyed. So it's important that you orbit behind it and catch it up from behind. For this, we are sorry. We appreciate that the angry mob of new commanders who burned down the offices of Galnet News Digest last night may have had a valid point to make, although a message in the comments section of the video would have been just as effective. If anyone would like to come back to collect their pitchforks, we have quite a large pile. We'd also like to point out that the offending edition of Galnet Noob Digest was written by Commander Beetlejude, described by the Flight Assist podcast as the perfect mix of personality, focus and drive, who is also a moderator of the Elite Dangerous community on Facebook and a renowned space artist, and she really ought to have known better. What a spoon.
200,000 Sidewinders.
There has been massive congestion this week, with reports of up to 200,000 Sidewinders in the Dromi system alone. Quite a few of the Sidewinders were orange Sidewinders, and there were numerous reportings of the so-called Brabant Tunnel, where entering and leaving the hyperspace tunnel takes longer than the jump itself. A number of experienced players were observed systematically massacring new commanders as they emerged from the starter systems, giving them a nice break from their interminable moaning about how no one plays in open. Galactic Roundup.
The story so far. The galaxy consists of the Federation, an organisation that can trace its lineage back to the government of the United States of America, and which governs from Mars in the Sol system. The Empire, which is based on Capitol in Achenar, uses slaves and has senators and bucket loads of scheming and plotting. The Alliance of Independent Systems, based in Alioth. The Thargoids, who live in the Pleiades, the Witchhead Nebula, the California Nebula, and the Coalsack Nebula, and who are awfully nice, at least by the standards of eight-legged chitinous space spiders. The Guardians, who appear to have died out millions of years ago, but who left advanced intelligence, technological know-how, and a jolly interesting story if you can be bothered to dig it out. And an awful lot of independent systems that belong only to themselves.
The Empire is being attacked from within by neo-Marlinist Republicans. The federal president, Zachary Hudson, is in the middle of a scandal about his involvement in the attempted murder of his predecessor 5 years ago. The Alliance is quietly getting on with exploitation of barnacle sites in the Coalsack Nebula, much to the consternation of the local Thargoids. Kepler Orbital in the Atropos system is on fire. There are people on board who need rescuing. The price commanders can earn by selling mined minerals has been changing, but it still remains a fantastically lucrative occupation.
Many commanders who assisted the Alliance last week have been granted a super-effective frameshift drive that allows their ships to jump 6 light-years more than any ship with a Class 5 FSD has ever been able to jump before. By the time you're listening to this, you've just missed out on the opportunity to get a purple paint job for every ship you own in return for watching Stephen Benedetti being embarrassingly bad at combat.
Oh. Speedball 4, a death-defying sporting event, has just concluded, with the winners travelling at well over 3.5 kilometres a second. Someone from Operation Ida, the organisation that repairs damaged stations, who clearly has way too much time on their hands, has drawn a huge Operation Ida logo across the entire face of the galaxy, in a sidewinder. As to what will happen tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see.
And that's this week's Galnet News.
Galnet News. We read the news, so you don't have to.
Well, howdy there, partner. My name's Buck, and I'm a trader. People ask me, Mr. Naked, just what do you trade in? Well, I'll trade anything to earn me more credits, but what old Buck Naked trades in is his very own space cow. Y'all know it as the Lacon Spaceways Type 9. She may turn slow and lumber along, but she's got plenty of room in her belly to store your load. And when I take her to Hutton Orbital, you can be sure that Buck Naked will be relaxing in his cockpit, counting the credits those poor saps will pay me for delivering hundreds of tons of goods they need. So if you want to get rich, pick yourself up a Lacon Spaceways Type 9, the Space Cow, for your utter delight.